Mary, you have a role that actually a lot of people play, and it's called long distance care
Mm,
support. And you're trying to provide supporting care at a long distance,
yeah.
because the people you care for are in Florida, you're up here in
Mm,
Virginia.
yeah.
Um, and it's also supporting supporters, but also trying to help with the care.
Yeah.
Now, in your case, it's your sister in law and your brother and a niece.
Hmm.
And that's the triad of folks that you're concerned about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your sister in law has a complex dementia
Hmm.
and a complex care situation.
Yes.
Your brother is trying to support his wife,
Hmm.
and yet she at this moment is not feeling like he's being supportive.
Yeah.
And your niece, their child, is trying to figure out how to live her life, support her dad, support her mom,
Yeah.
and not feel like she's abandoning people.
Yes.
Um, how are you balancing supporting? I mean, how are you doing that, and how hard is it doing that?
um, well, it doesn't seem to be that hard because I'm here and it's generally phone calls. And I suppose
Oh, Mary, come
I
now.
sup
I'm
well,
not gonna buy
I
that.
suppose
When you get a call, what
I
happens?
think I think what it is, the way my life is set up.
Hmm.
It's if you've got space, I have space in my life, and
Okay.
I'm I how do I put this? I married exceptionally late,
Uh-huh.
and like at 50,
Okay.
and so I was single for a very long time, and I did not have any children, so
Okay.
and so I ended up not having any children because I wasn't married, and so my life is focused on work and friends and
Hmm.
interest and a dog.
Okay.
um, and so I can give a fair amount of time to my niece, and it turns out she's pretty important to me. And it wasn't, the relationship. There was a big part of my life that I sort of was off in doing my thing in California,
Uh-huh.
and really didn't pay much time to
Brother, wife, and niece were
to my
not
brother and
very,
his kids,
yeah.
and then finally reconnected and
Okay.
see how important that is. And so I'm very devoted to her and her mom. I always was, and my brother is. I've always been
Mhm.
close with him, but with her. I'm an auntie, so I'm not her mom, and she doesn't treat. We don't think of each other that way,
Mhm.
but it very much is support. It's my kind of like a friendship and equals,
Okay.
because we talk
So
about business a lot and what she's
what
doing,
she's
and
doing, so it
yeah.
goes beyond the dementia
Oh,
and her
yes,
mom's situation. So
it always has.
the
Yeah.
care and support you offer your niece
Yes.
is a friend offering support to another woman who's younger
Yes.
than her, sort
Yes.
of like a niece, but not, it wouldn't, I mean, you could have had a friend
But
that were in the same, there is a,
there's that family bond.
there is a family bond there. What about with your brother? What would you say about
And I
supporting your brother? How does that?
and I, I've been known for years just sort of showing up once a year. But
Uh-huh.
and I've always cared a lot for him, but now he's in much more trouble.
Mhm.
He sort of did his thing, and I always admired his marriage. I always thought they had a great marriage.
Mhm.
Um, but it's interesting, since my niece had her child, who's now 15, um, it did start. I felt her mom sort of actually almost being jealous of the relationship I had, and very,
Okay.
and I didn't change, but I could see some changes were
Something
happening
were
in her.
happening for Sandy, your
Yeah.
mother, your
And
sister-in-law.
I was always there
Yeah.
for my brother.
Yeah.
But of late, the last 2 years, and now I'm seeing them maybe to three times a year,
Mhm.
and there's a physical change in terms of I can
Yeah.
see him. I don't know if he's got arthritis. He's always been thin and swims and
Uh-huh.
rides his bike and stuff, but he's sort of hunched over, and I'm really getting worried that
Okay.
it looks like he's carrying a burden. It looks like
He's
and it has been heavy on him for
Yeah.
years.
So I'm curious. So you
Mhm.
have this triad you're trying to support.
Yes.
One woman who has a very complicated dementia and a complicated appreciation for her dementia
Yes.
and her health. Your brother, who it feels like is really carrying a heavy load and is
Yes.
not sure what to do and how to do it.
True.
And the niece who's struggling with trying to figure out what is
Yeah.
this, how much space, what. Where are you going for your support to be this support
Mm.
person at a distance? Have you found
I
places
sort
to
of
get
feel,
support for yourself?
well, I sort of feel like I come to this with wisdom, and then maybe I'm estimating myself because I historically have had a fair amount of therapy in my life.
Uh-huh.
Um, and Cassandra, my niece, we're very copacetic, and I mean,
Mhm.
and I feel like she's my equal, and but she respects my my experience,
Okay.
and we really have a wonderful exchange. And I think she really does get it, although there's a little bit of a lot of sadness that it's
Mhm.
always ends up in her lap because she's the only kid.
Yeah.
I'm not answering your question.
Yeah.
Um, I believe
It's
my
interesting. I mean,
brother
what's really interesting is you went
to
immediately to
her,
your background in counseling and supporting her. I mean, which
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 is not the
speaks to.
most important thing here.
Well, but maybe
Uh,
it is. Maybe that's for you.
yeah,
That's the most important support you can offer is how to help your
to
niece stay
listen,
well
and
and to
I
be
do that.
and listen.
I mean,
And
I'm texting, and it's not
Mhm.
24/7.
No.
I probably do talk to her, if not every day, maybe 4 times a day, and then possibly on a
Mhm.
weekend we might talk
Mhm.
for an hour or so. But it's been escalating about how awful
Yeah. I
it's
mean, it
been.
seems pretty
Basically,
much.
I mean, it's sort of been awful.
Yeah.
But back to John, he is coming. He came to accepting. I think he tried to think this. I think he was in denial, and I think he just tried to act like it
Or was it
wasn't
maybe he thought
happening.
it was psychiatric and we could get the right meds at the right time, it would get better and she would get better. And
Well, I
is
think he
that some of it?
had a belief and a desire for it to get
Uh-huh.
better.
Uh-huh.
She
And
was actually without too many details. She was what's called Baker acted in, which
mhm.
is what we call
Yeah, in
TDO
Florida it's a
here,
really, really hard
three
place.
times,
Yeah. Right.
because of the disruption that would happen in the
Mhm.
household
Yeah.
when they were living together and calling the
Yeah.
police and
Yeah.
911. And
So when that support as a long distance carer,
I would be hearing about this and then
were you
feel
hearing
it.
about it in real time or after the fact
Sometimes
or
real time,
so
almost
and
real
trying to
time.
figure out what to do next to
Like he's
support?
there now. She's
You need to
texting her,
call.
talking to me.
Mhm.
I'm trying to keep her calm.
Okay.
She's doing a great job.
Mhm.
Got very level headed.
Mhm.
But these are her parents,
Yeah. So it sounds like
and I'm worried too because I don't want him to get
yeah.
hurt. I
Yeah.
don't. I've known her.
You love everybody involved in
I've
this.
known her since I was 16 years old. I
Yeah.
mean, I have, and she was like a sister I didn't
Yeah.
have. I mean,
Yeah.
really very
Really
close
hard.
bond in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you a special question.
Okay.
How are you making sure that you're getting self-care for yourself with all this work you're doing? You said,
Yeah.
I have the time to spare, but how are you
Yeah.
making sure? And this is a question
Mm,
we ask
yeah.
carers all the time. How are you taking care of yourself?
Yeah.
Not because we get real busy taking care of other folks. What are
Yeah.
you doing to take care of you? What kind of active steps?
Well, I mean, I have friends, and you
And I'm
know.
going to give you the classics, and you tell
Okay.
me if any of these.
All right.
How are you sleeping?
I need to be exercising.
Okay.
Let's just say that. And that's
Okay, so exercise is not happening, but you know
no, and
some
I've
things.
got. I mean, if really
Uh-huh.
important because very
Uh-huh.
upset about
Yeah. Uh-huh.
weight and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
That would help.
you know that exercise is good, but you're not doing it
And
right
I have
now.
every
Yeah.
I have every reason to do it. I have
Uh-huh.
a Peloton in my
Oh.
bedroom.
So you got
that's
plenty of props
that's
and you've got it
sitting
all
there.
set. It's in the right place.
Yes, and I'm not giving on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
So how
yeah.
about sleep? You didn't answer me about sleep. How well are you sleeping?
I'm the kind of person that I'm always I tend to always be tired. So honestly, I can sleep. I
How
don't
many
have a hard
hours
time.
are you sleeping, would
Well,
you
I may
say?
not be sleeping enough hours, but I don't have. It's not it's not because I can't fall asleep. I
Uh-huh.
think what happens is I want some other stimulation. I
Uh-huh.
literally will watch C-SPAN because I want to see what's going on in
Oops.
politics,
Yeah.
or
You don't turn your brain off.
something. No, I don't turn my brain
What's
off,
it
but I wanted
called?
to think about
Uh-huh.
other things.
Yeah,
That's how.
what's
That's
that
how
thing?
I.
Ah,
That's how
so
I
you're trying to
relax.
tune out the issues
Yeah.
and think on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
so
listen to books
uh-huh.
and stuff like that.
Okay. So I'm not going to bother you anymore about sleep.
I have
I'll let you
something
go.
good to tell you.
Oh,
Though.
good.
And it's preceded by something that I'm not going to cry though. Our dog
Mhm.
passed away on the day after Christmas, so
Mhm.
I passed. We are getting another dog. We
Oh.
are bound and determined to. So that will be I will be
Okay.
getting a puppy sometime. I don't know when, but I'm going to make sure I get one
So you
in the
have
next
something that gives you a sense of
probably
value.
next 60 days. Yes,
Yay!
that will make me happy.
Something of value and purpose and
Yes.
social, because the dog will be your social outlet.
Yes, and I do things with friends, but I can definitely need to exercise.
Okay. How about your eating behaviors?
Yeah,
Because we're just looking at the,
no, it's
what
interesting
are your
because
things? Because some people stress eat, some people don't. Some people lose because they get so anxious they don't
I
eat.
think no, I think what I do is treat eat because
Mhm.
I need to have something to give, but so I'll eat stuff that maybe I mean it's okay to eat stuff,
Yeah.
but I might allow myself to eat. I don't eat a lot of, but cookies and
You do a little
yeah,
junk food.
yeah, and a
A
little
little,
junk, yeah,
sweet, salt, and fatty.
yes,
There you go.
love that.
Yeah. So let me see how you're doing on the last thing for self-care.
Mhm.
Because at long distance caring, my
Yeah.
challenge is frequently people forget to take care of themselves because they're at a distance. They think, yeah. We need to worry about my brother and my niece
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Sandy, but worrying about me, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
aren't, because we are invested. And long
Yeah.
distance is actually pretty hard because you can't
Yeah.
just run by and stop by.
Yeah.
So here's your last question.
Okay.
Okay. And the last question that I have for you along this line is, okay, so if you were to think of what are you doing to get your own brain to get new synapses and have fun and learn new
Yeah.
things? Are
I
you doing
do
anything?
need to do that.
Are you doing any new
I
or
don't
different
think
things?
I am, and I'm familiar with the literature.
You know better.
And I know, and I know I've been wanting to get a ping pong set because I think that's good. I'm sort of like learning a new sport.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
I know I haven't taken. I probably need to take up something to because and I'm not even reading. I'm listening to audible.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do,
So what?
Mary.
If you've
Here's
got
how
any
you're going to
ideas
start. Are you ready?
to get more synapses,
This is how we're going to start.
I would like to do that. Okay, breathing. Breathing is another one.
Let me hear you do it.
Okay.
Let me hear you do a deep breathe. Because I hear in your voice,
Yeah,
you're distressed for your family.
really.
Yeah.
Oh.
And what I don't want to dismiss is
Mm.
in the world of caring,
Yeah.
whether you're long distance or not, you can be so stressed
Yeah.
in trying to help. You don't look at yourself and realize, I'm not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to do this and do this well, and I want to say thank you for being willing to talk about this and ending it on this note, which is without taking care of ourselves, we won't be there to help someone else.
You're right. You're right.
And just acknowledge I can be really smart about something and I can know what to do.
Yeah.
But if I'm not doing it,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't count as much as we wish it did.
Yeah, you're right.
So thank you for being willing to share this really hard position you're in.
Yeah.
And yet to be willing to recognize, sometimes the hardest thing to do is to take care of ourselves every now and then so we can actually do this thing that's really important to us.
Because I'm pretty sure it's going to get harder.
I'm pretty sure
I know
too.
it is.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And so pausing just briefly to
Yeah.
take care of you episodically.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
My
Thanks, Deepa. I
pleasure.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no, absolutely.
Thank you.
Good.